This week on Culture Q.
Queerest vote returns to TV.
Actor Keiynan Lonsdale talks House of Pride.
And a UK soccer star comes out.
I'm Archie J.
And I'm Cheryl Lazar. This is Culture Q.
And here are some highlights from this week in queer culture. The beloved British series Queer as Folk is getting an American reboot, and fans of the show are buzzing after the NBC streaming platform Peacock dropped the series' first trailer.
Honey, what are you doing here?
I lost my keys.
Wow, you love a dramatic entrance.
Dad is home!
Hi, girl. How are you feeling?
I'm kind of nervous. I've never performed on like a real stage before. I really want this.
And look at it.
Thank you, Mom.
The reboot will follow a group of friends in New Orleans who span the LGBTQ spectrum and puts representation at the forefront. The show's writer and director Stephen Dunn made a statement saying, "I wanted to create a new groundbreaking version of the show, and I'm immensely proud that the new series is comprised of an electric ensemble of fresh characters that mirror the modern global audience." And what a cast it is! With Devin Way as our new lead character Brody, the show also features the talent of Finn Argus, Jesse James Keitel, Johnny Sabili, and Ryan O'Connell. They're joined by some pretty gag-worthy guest stars like Kim Cattrall and Juliette Lewis, plus heartthrob and deaf activist Niall DeMarco. The show is also coming at a time where LGBTQ content is on the rise, causing one Twitter user to write, "Fire Island, Bros, and now the Queer as Folk remake? Are we entering a golden age of queer entertainment?" I'm here for it. But on the flip side, fans are feeling uneasy about the show centering on the events following a gay nightclub shooting, while others feel it is representative of the times we live in. With that said, the creators hope it will bring healing, saying, "If there's one person who is able to see Queer as Folk and feel less alone, or who now feels more seen and supported, our job is done." You can catch Queer as Folk streaming on Peacock starting Thursday, June 9th.
I want to feel alive again.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Are you gay?
Well, guess who's back again? It's everyone's favorite life-size Barbie drag queen, Trixie Mattel. The Drag Race superstar is stomping off the runway and into her very own Palm Springs motel in a new series for Discovery+.
Welcome to the Trixie Motel. Oh, the service here is amazing and so pretty. Yes, we're newly renovated. You want to stay the night?
Over the course of 8 episodes, Mattel will document her 4-month-long experience of renovating a motel in her signature Trixie style. It's HGTV meets Drag Race, and honestly, what could be better than that? While the place might be a complete wreck when Trixie arrives, in a statement she said, "I thought about how a little paint and glitter can turn a 32-year-old bald man from Wisconsin into a Hollywood darling, and I knew we could turn this dump into a dazzler." And she won't be making this transformation on her own. She'll have plenty of help from fabulous stars like Nicole Byer, Lisa Vanderpump, Leslie Jordan, Katya, and Mrs. Property Brother herself, Zooey Deschanel. And one fan who got an early screening of the show says, "We're in for a treat," tweeting, "We got to see a preview of the first episode of Trixie Motel yesterday, and it was so good. I'm so excited for the whole thing to come out." But for the rest of us, we'll have to just wait until the series premieres June 3rd, only on Discovery+.
I'm Trixie Mattel, and this is Trixie Motel.
This week I had the chance to sit down with actor, dancer, and singer-songwriter Keiynan Lonsdale to chat about the upcoming event, House of Pride, brought to you by McDonald's. Let's take a look.
Oh, you got me shook. I'm falling, I can't. I'm falling, I cannot believe it. Touch with one look. I'm crawling at my heart's conceded.
Someone walks up to you, they're asking you all these questions. What would you say you're best known for?
It depends where I am. Like, I don't know, I feel like when I'm in Australia, then I feel like I'm best known for being a dancer.
So what is House of Pride?
To me, it's a collection of these incredible queer artists, in many ways have no limits, put on performances and pieces, depending on whether we're singers, comedians, dancers. It's this celebration of art. It is a House of Pride.
I have to ask you, what was it, like working on something that was dedicated to the LGBTQ plus community?
Oh, it's always good. It's always cool. Like there's a united understanding and tone. And people have purpose and they know what it is. And there's so many layers that you don't even need to talk about when you're on set. You're in it, you know? So I think there's also an appreciation. And when I did talk to some of the other artists, we were discussing just how cool it was to see how big of a production it was. It's such a grand thing. Well, I guess that's the way it should be. You know, queer performances should be grand and there should be high production value and it should be amazing. So yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I love that. I know I asked you what is House of Pride, but what does House of Pride mean to you?
It is a safe space to explore, experiment, create, and bring a vision to life in a queer space to celebrate artistry.
Yeah. And why should we tune in this year? Say someone has never heard of House of Pride, why should we tune in this year? What is that one caveat that you would say?
I would probably say you're not going to get these performances anywhere else. No one's sticking to the same things. It's a wide open, limitless view of expression and creativity. And there's a certain kind of joy, a certain kind of hunger, a certain magic that I think you would only get from an event like this.
Thanks again to Keiynan for taking the time to chat with me today. And remember, you can catch him in House of Pride, brought to you by McDonald's, streaming right here on Revry next month.
And now it's time to take a look at all the LGBTQ news you need to know. First up this week, we've got some good news coming out of Oregon, with one political candidate coming closer to making LGBTQ herstory. Gubernatorial hopeful Tina Kotek was the Democratic winner in Oregon's primary last week, setting her up with the potential to become the nation's first ever lesbian governor. After her win, Kotek said in a statement, "I'm deeply honored that Democratic voters across Oregon trust me to be their nominee. There is so much at stake, from protecting abortion access to defending our environment. Oregonians deserve someone who will fight for their interests." And while we'll have to wait for November's election to see the results, last week's race was an exciting step forward towards equality. Last week, we also observed International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia. President Biden vocalized his support of the LGBTQ community and had a message for all Americans. In an official statement from the White House, Biden warned against the uptick in hate and violence aimed at the queer community, saying, "Hateful legislative attacks against members of our own LGBTQIA+ community cannot be tolerated in America or anywhere else. Hate is hate, and all of us have a responsibility to speak out against hate wherever we find it." And at a time when proposed anti-LGBTQ legislation is at an all-time high and attacks against our community's character are more frequent, it's important to see the government condemning these actions. We hope, though, that the administration will take more action as well. As mentioned earlier, anti-trans legislation is sweeping this country, but thankfully in Indiana and Tennessee, the latest hateful bills have been struck down. Both issues were targeting bathroom access for trans individuals, and judges in both states ruled in favor of allowing people to use the restroom that aligns with their gender identity. After these rulings, Henry Seaton, an ACLU of Tennessee transgender justice advocate, said, "We're thrilled to see the court rule in support of transgender and non-binary lives today. We'll continue our pursuit of trans justice to its fullest extent." And that is all the LGBTQ news you need to know right now.
Looking for something to spice up your Memorial Day weekend binge watch? Well, we've got you covered with our Revry streaming guide. Let's take a look. First on our list this week is a comedy special from one of your favorite queer comedians, Margaret Cho, Psycho. This 2015 live stand-up show features Cho's signature provocative style as she hilariously tackles off-limit issues from Boko Haram to racism and even her own sexuality. Next on our list this week is Coming of Age in Cherry Grove, The Invasion. Centered around Cherry Grove in Fire Island, New York, the film tells the story of what is considered by most to be the first openly LGBTQ community in the United States. Founded in 1869, the film tells the story of several long-term residents as they recount all the history of the island and what they find so wonderful about life in Cherry Grove. And if you're still looking for something to watch after these, don't worry. We've got one more on the list. Queens of Kings is a series that takes a raw look at the stimulating and flashy lifestyle of some of Brooklyn's brightest drag stars. Each episode focuses on the gritty and glamorous duality of performing in drag and takes a deeper look into the story of what goes on behind the makeup. Remember, you can find all these amazing titles and more streaming right now, right here on Revry.
I know we could all use a little extra dose of inspiration to get through the end of the week, and this trailblazing story has us all feeling more uplifted. UK soccer star Jake Daniels came out last week, making him the first English player to do so in over 30 years. It also makes him the only active gay professional player in the UK.
Been such a long time of lying, and I've just processed every day of just about how I want to do it, when I want to do it, and I think now is just the right time to do it. You know, I feel like I'm ready to tell people about my story. I want people to know the real me, and lying all the time just isn't what I've wanted to do, and it has been a struggle, but now I just do feel like I'm ready to be myself, be free, and just be confident with it all.
Daniels follows in the footsteps of Justin Fashanu, the first and, up until now, only English player to come out publicly back in 1990. Sadly, homophobia drove Fashanu to take his own life. But now Daniels picks up the mantle at just 17 years old, and the response has been heartwarming.
Everyone's been so supportive. I've had messages here, there and everywhere just saying, you know, we're proud and we're supportive. So yeah, it's been amazing.
Some of that support has come from fellow out soccer player Josh Cavallo, Prince William, and even Sir Ian McKellen himself, who tweeted this. At 17, Jake Daniels represents a generation that rejects old-fashioned homophobia in football and elsewhere. He sets an example. No wonder so many of us admire and treasure him as a hero. What a goal he scored. Another person who came out in support of the star was the late Justin Fashanu's niece, who said, "My uncle was desperate to pave the way for others in the game to live authentically. Jake Daniels coming out has shown just how different the world is now. His bravery will inspire others who are still in the closet." And that is something, of course, Daniels does not take lightly.
I want to be that role model to do it, to maybe push people to be able to come out.
Well, I am so happy for him. Congratulations.
Truly an inspiration to walk in your truth. And with that bit of happy news, we're wrapping up today's show. I'm Archie J, filling in for Andy.
And I'm Shira Lazar. Thanks again for hanging out with us and tuning in to This Week on Culture Q.
Be sure to join us every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern and on demand anytime, only on Revry.